Hello and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley
and Taylor and our expert, non-expert and special guest James the Science Toolboy.
Hello.
As always, we're wearing togas, our kylixes are full, and today we're looking at Cyrus's conquest of the Lydians. So last time we checked in on Cyrus, he'd just overthrown his granddad, who had tried to kill him as a baby, to become the king of the Median Empire.
He also did this with the help of Herodotus, who had been fed his own son by the king of the Medes, Astyages.
And Cyrus now, it seems, is on a bit of a roll.
So, after conquering the Medes, Cyrus sets his sights on the Lydians. These were really Greeks who had settled on the Ionian coast, which is kind of modern-day Turkey.
These were ruled by a king called Croesus, or Croesus, doesn't matter which way you say it really.
What's he like? Is he on a level with his granddad?
Well, he'd not fed anyone their own son,
Okay.
which is always nice. No, he was part of a long line of Lydian Greek kings that stretched back to antiquity, almost back to the Trojan War. So these Asiatic Greeks had been there a long while,
Okay.
and they were still pretty Greek.
You said like Cyrus set his sights on Lydia. Is this the start of him being a conqueror, or?
This is more just a natural expansion.
Okay.
It's more conquest than the conquest of the Medes, because he's got no familial ties to the Lydians. But Lydia being west of Media, it's his next natural.
Like, I may as well
step.
carry on.
It makes logical sense, but he doesn't actually really have any claim on it.
Right. Okay.
Apart from it's there.
Yeah. So, if we think about King Croesus, he was quite frightened of Cyrus and the fact that he was expanding his empire. So Croesus, like any good pious king, decides to ask for help.
Seems like fair point.
Yeah. So he wants to ask for help against Cyrus, and he decides he's going to ask the oracle at Delphi.
So this is another mystical sort of person who had magic dreams and helping
Yeah,
sorting oracles.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the oracle at Delphi, basically it's the Pythian priestesses. These are women who are meant to be able to commune with Apollo, and you go and ask them what the gods think you should do.
Oh, okay.
But realistically, they are women who are up a mountain, off their faces on volcanic gas.
Do you have to pay them for these?
They like
This advice.
gifts.
Okay.
They like gifts. So yeah, he goes to the oracle at Delphi and asks what he should do.
And what did they have to say to him?
They say, if you attack Cyrus, a great empire will fall.
It didn't specify which one, though.
Nope.
This seems like a really easy thing to figure out where he's going.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is more specific than most messages you get from the oracles. But Croesus isn't daft, he's wary, and he decides to test whether these oracles are on the line. So there's some whole shenanigans where he's making turtle soup, and the messenger's got to ask the oracle what smell Croesus can smell at that moment, and go, oh, turtle soup. And turns out he is making turtle soup.
Okay.
So then it's all legit.
Seems that, yeah.
I prefer carrot and coriander, if I'm being perfectly honest, but there you go. So, as a result of this, Croesus decides that he's going to attack the Persians.
Before they attack him.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Based on these priestesses up a mountain.
I think this is where the old adage comes in that women are always right.
Are we going to find out how
the
horribly wrong they are?
everything, we're always women. The oracles are always women. So, proves that, doesn't it?
But the vaguest of statement can't possibly be wrong.
No, that women are always right. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I mean, I presume they are right. An empire is going to fall.
Yeah, it is. They've got that spot on. Just not sure which one.
However, before deciding to base everything on the will of the oracles, he asks another advisor, a guy called Sandanis, and this is what Sandanis has to say about the issue.
So, he says, "My lord, he said you are preparing to fight against men who dress in leather, both breeches and everything else." Must get through a lot of cows, mustn't they? "So rough is their country that they eat as much as they have, never as much as they want. They drink no wine but only water." Shocking.
That sounds boring.
Heathens. "They have no good things at all. not even figs for dessert. And if they conquer you, think how many good things you will lose. But once they taste the luxuries of Lydia, they will hold on to them so tightly that nothing will make them let go. I am thankful myself that the gods have never put it into the Persians' heads to attack the Lydians.
Was Persia actually that bad, or is this just...
It was pretty deserty.
Right, okay.
The whole point is it's probably not a good idea to attack the Persians
to wind
first.
them up.
Yeah.
So they've got nothing, and they're going to take all the nice things we have.
Yeah, so it's basically saying that the Lydians, if they go to war, they've got most to lose.
Okay.
Because even if they win, the Persians will see what they've got, and then they will want to go back and try and take it again at another point.
Right, okay.
Especially the figs for dessert.
I mean, of course.
Taylor?
So, where are we? There we go. So regardless, Croesus starts a campaign in Cappadocia, which is modern-day Syria, to try and draw out Cyrus. So after a bit of a drawn-out struggle, the armies of Persia and Lydia face off against each other on the plains of Sardis.
Now, this is problematic for Cyrus because this is ideal territory for Croesus to use his famous Lydian cavalry, who at this time are pretty much the most feared in the world.
Okay.
But Cyrus has other ideas. And this is what Herodotus has to say.
So, it says, when Cyrus saw the Lydians take up battle positions on this plain, his fear of their cavalry led him to adopt a suggestion of Harpagus, one of the Medes. This was to get together all the camels. They were used as pack animals to carry equipment and stores, unload them, and mount men armed as cavalrymen on their backs. He then ordered them to advance as the first line of attack against the cavalry of Croesus, with the infantry following and his own cavalry bringing up the rear.
So he sent attack camels at him.
Attack
yeah,
camels.
basically.
But it turns out that horses are terrified of the smell of camels.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. Unless they've been raised around camels, if you want to attack some horses, use a camel.
Unleash the battle camel.
Yeah. Launch the battle camels.
So, following on from Cyrus and Harpagus' cunning plan,
Battle camels.
battle camels, and the battle camels work, James!
Amazing.
Woohoo for the camels!
So Harpagus is still knocking about. He's still mates with...
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay.
even though he's probably pushing like 80, he's still able to like jog along on a camel. Very nimble for his age, clearly. So it works. So Croesus has to retreat into Sardis. As the siege settles in, Croesus asks Sparta for help, and they say no. Typically, they say no.
It is very typical of Sparta. Sparta are the ultimate isolationists. If it's far away, they're not interested.
Right, okay, because kind of predominantly from films, which isn't the best source, I always thought Spartans were keen to fight anything.
They're keen to fight anything as long as it's near where they are.
They don't want to travel.
They don't like travelling, but they
Okay.
get terribly car sick on the way. No, if it's far away, they're not interested. If
Right,
it's
okay.
outside of the Peloponnese, they'll happily watch the rest of Greece burn as long as they're all right.
Okay.
Selfish.
Yeah, but protectionist. So the siege goes on, and these well-known walls of Sardis are protected by the Lydians. Sardis is meant to have these incredible walls that no one's ever been able to breach. It's not quite Troy, but they're significant fortifications. And these protect the town quite well until one of Cyrus's men spots something unusual.
So Herodotus says, on the previous day, I'm not sure how to say this, Hieroides,
I can't read it from here. That guy.
that guy,
Still can't read.
we just
Hieroides.
There you go, much better than my
Hemorrhoids.
pronunciation.
Let's just call it hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoids. The Mardian, not the Mardi, let's just clarify that, had seen one of the Lydians fetch a helmet which had rolled down this precipitous slope, and the sight of the man climbing down had set him thinking. He had then made the ascent himself, and other Persians followed. After them, a great many more climbed up, and Sardis was taken and sacked. So they basically get through a hole in the wall up a hill.
It's a ramp.
Okay.
So this massive wall is just a ramp for them to run up.
Yep. The walls of Lydia were wheelchair accessible.
How have they never been breached then, if they're this accessible?
No, and obviously, they obviously heard about these walls and went, yeah, let's give that one a rest. So, as the Persians storm Sardis, Croesus is captured. Herodotus.
So it says the Persians brought their prisoner into the presence of the king, and Cyrus chained Croesus and placed him with 14 Lydian boys on a great pyre that he had built.
What have the boys done wrong?
They were
Nothing.
there.
Nothing. And if you're unsure, when we're talking about pyre, we basically mean a mound that they will
Big
put
pile
someone
of
on
wood.
top of to set them on fire. Again, it just shows that they're not very nice to children.
I'd say, like, these 14 lads, other than just being Lydian, have they done anything
eat them,
wrong?
they make them work as soldiers,
No,
they
burn
set them
them.
on fire. They're just not very nice.
But taking toll of his fate, sat on top of his funeral pyre, even though he's not dead, Croesus then starts telling Cyrus, through an interpreter, the story of Solon, the Athenian who came to visit Sardis with all of its splendour. Solon's one of the people who's kind of key to creating Athenian democracy.
Okay.
So whatever he said, clearly it had an effect because Cyrus changes his mind.
Oh.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's lovely, but there's a
But-
problem.
Yeah, the fire had already been lit and the soldiers couldn't put it out.
Oh, God!
I think it's quite funny. I can just imagine him all running around trying to put the fire out and being like, oh no!
That must be a roller coaster of emotions for him. Just like, yes, I've convinced him.
Oh
Oh, no!
And the 14 Lydian boys are all sat there going, what did we do?
Something smells. Oh, it's Neville. He's
I mean-
already set off.
Make sure Grandad's not about. Oh, like,
Anyway,
Barbecue.
there's more. Herodotus.
Okay, so where are we? Hang on. So it says, while Croesus was speaking, the fire had been lit and was already burning around the edges, and then it goes on to say, the Lydians say that when Croesus understood that Cyrus had changed his mind and saw everyone vainly trying to master the fire, he called loudly upon Apollo with tears to come and save him from his misery. If any of his gifts had been pleasant to him, it was a clear and windless day, but suddenly, in answer to Croesus' prayer, clouds gathered and a storm broke, with such violent rain that the flames were put out.
I smell some poo here.
So I can smell burning.
You not believe in that then, James?
No.
You don't think the gods came and saved him?
No, I don't.
No. But it's a nice story.
It is.
And the 14 Lydian boys, don't forget them.
Oh, God, you know what? I actually feel better about it now because they've done nothing wrong.
So, Cyrus spares Croesus and makes him something of an advisor.
Again, this
Again?
is turning into a bit of a habit.
Yep. But then the two of them have this really philosophical discussion. And Cyrus asks why Croesus attacked him.
Because these oracles told him.
Well, Herodotus.
So, it says, the god of the Greeks encouraged me to fight you, the blame is his. No one is fool enough to choose war instead of peace. In peace, sons bury fathers, but in war, fathers bury sons. It must have been heaven's will that this should happen. Passing the book, basically.
That seems a little bit rich considering he allegedly just got saved by Apollo and now he's dobbing in the Greek gods.
Yeah, he maybe should rethink that. I mean, the Greek gods, what we know of them, they're not ones to take things on the chin at all. But, you know, bear in mind, he's just come down off his funeral pyre,
Fair.
straight away into this philosophical discussion. But it doesn't stop there. Once he's dobbed in the gods and passed the book, he then has another. He chips in with another pearl of wisdom to Cyrus.
So, it says, they are plundering your city and carrying off your treasures.
This is where he sees the Persian troops sacking the town.
Ah, okay.
There is more.
Sorry. So it says, not my city or my treasures, Croesus answered. Nothing there any longer belongs to me. It is you they are robbing.
So they're just stealing from themselves.
Well, it's this idea that it was typical for when a city was taken for the winning soldiers to loot the town and pillage the town and so on. And Croesus is basically pointing out to Cyrus, that's all your stuff they're nicking. It's not mine. It's not mine anymore. You've won. This is all yours. They're stealing your stuff. And Cyrus basically goes, Oh yeah, that's right. And from that point on, apparently, he stops the practice of sacking cities. Whenever he takes a city, they don't sack it anymore. So, again, if you're in one of these ancient cities and you see the Persians go, it's like, what's the worst that can happen?
They're just going to be nice to us.
They're just going to be nice to us. You don't have to worry about them running off with your women and children. And
was
your
that not
girls
part of the
anymore.
incentive for the soldiers to fight? We're like, I'll get something out of
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Typically, that was what they got out of it. But clearly, with Cyrus, we see an emerging, different way of doing things. You'd assume then he's going to move to a more wage-based professional army. But either way, put my stuff down. Put that back where you found it. Stop messing with my town. Which is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
It's very modern way of thinking.
If you're going to be conquered by someone,
The guy who's not going to wreck everything.
yeah, he's a good shout. So, if we look then at this latest instalment of Cyrus expanding his empire, now using battle camels and climbing up an easily accessible ramp in a wall, it's easy to suggest that Cyrus is pretty good in a battlefield situation. He doesn't necessarily do the obvious, he thinks about what he's doing. Either that or he just has really good advisors. I mean, arguably both of these conquests have been down to Harpagus.
Yeah.
He's the guy who turned on him when he fought the Medes. He's also the guy who went, camels! So that's always good.
Is that also partially his enemies seem to have really bad advisors?
Yeah, his enemies have really bad advisors, aka the gods, and they're quite mean anyway.
But he also seems to be kind of following this mantra of keep your friends close but your enemies closer.
Well, absolutely, especially once you've defeated them. I mean, what do you do with someone after you've defeated them?
Normally, kill them.
No.
I thought that's how it would go.
No, give them a job. Give them a job right next to you.
But I suppose it's a better way of doing it because ultimately the people from the area that you've just conquered are probably going to be more willing to actually follow what you want to do if, one, they see that you've treated their ex-ruler in quite a humane manner, and also if there's a chance that you might still be listening to their ex-ruler.
Right.
So it's kind of like you've still got the same person in charge by proxy, even though
Yeah, let's face it, these
they're
people
in
know
a
how
party role.
their cities and countries work.
Yeah.
You necessarily don't.
It didn't work out for his granddad, though, keeping Harpagus around after he'd very clearly made an enemy out of him.
Yeah, I think once you've force-fed someone their own son, I'm not sure how you come back from that one. I think maybe you just
So
leave it.
almost burning someone to death, fine.
Yeah,
The line is feeding their own child.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, as long as I know where the boundaries are.
Nearly burning someone and 14 kids, not a problem. But again, it's on a funeral pyre, so it'll be an offering to the gods. But he doesn't burn them, that's the important thing.
Okay.
And again, this idea of a liberator, he treats his enemies well. And now we see if he's putting an end to sacking, there's actually limited benefit on people in these city-states to actually fight against him. You know, they're probably going to be worse off under their current ruler than under Cyrus. We also see this idea as well that Cyrus is clearly, he's a pious man, he's obedient to the gods. So even the Greek gods, where he talks about Apollo, when the clouds come, and you didn't believe that bit.
I didn't. I was about to ask, when you say he's pious and to the gods, which gods?
It doesn't matter, he seems to be pious to all gods. We never
Okay.
get in Herodotus which religion he follows.
Okay.
We can assume, like the ones who come later, he's Zoroastrian and follows Ahura Mazda, but he doesn't make a big deal out of it. It's just be good to the gods and things will be fine. And this is probably, I mean, so far, if you look at Cyrus, he's turning out to be quite a nice chap.
Hmm.
And this is probably one of the origins of Plutarch particularly accusing Herodotus of being philo-barbaric. You're nodding like
That's the word, I know what that means.
Plutarch basically says Herodotus is too nice to the Persians and he should just be writing mean things about them.
Okay, even though they may not deserve to have mean things.
Well, in this case, they may not deserve to be written meanly about. But yeah, so Plutarch accuses Herodotus of being philo-barbaric. It's one of the good points about Herodotus, though, because even though clearly in his lifetime they were his enemy, he's being quite balanced. And certainly someone like Cyrus, it seems really difficult for Herodotus to find bad stories about him.
Okay.
So there you have it. This was how Cyrus conquered the Lydians and almost burnt 14 boys.
But not quite.
Not quite. So thanks for listening. We hope this has been helpful. Leave us a comment below, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.